Feels like there's never really been a better time to talk about how to do stuff online as an artist, whether that's online networking, portfolio building, or just personal branding as an artist, than 2012. 2012? Did I just say 2012? Well, it was supposed to be the end of the world, and 2020 feels pretty close, and it's almost over, if you're watching at the time of when I posted this video. Anyways, but we've all had some practice, things have changed, and we've learned a lot. So let's talk about some of the most important things to keep in mind for all this different stuff. This video is also sponsored by ArtStation, but more on that later. Now, as we start diving into online networking, there's a few things that are gonna kind of blend with like building a following online and other things that are more of just being a part of the community and meeting people for work stuff. The two kind of go hand in hand because both are tied to good practices, good etiquette, and just being a good person on the internet. When you're a positive part of the community and engaging and talking to people and sharing cool stuff, both of those things tend to happen at the same time. In general, there's exceptions to every rule, but in general, LinkedIn is a great place to network because it's kind of built for business. Twitter's a great place because it's based on community and conversation. Facebook, I mean, personally, I don't really use Facebook all that much. It's still a social platform that's valuable as a business tool and for networking, sure. Facebook groups are a thing, but Facebook in general is not really a great place to network with professionals because it's often the personal page where you stay in touch with distant relatives and people you knew from school. But it's not really the place to reach out to a recruiter or try to ask a question to an animator unless that's their only platform and that's where they invite people to ask them questions. Notice how I said the word invite? That can be kind of important in these contexts. Not everybody who works in the animation industry or the art industry wants to answer questions in their free time. Some people do. Some people are super generous with their time. They're super interested in giving back to the community and just being a part of the online community. And other people, when they come home from work, they don't want to think about work anymore. So it's just kind of a general etiquette thing. Be very respectful of that and not knowing exactly where people are at. So don't pester people. Most people watching this video probably aren't going to have an issue with that, but just in case there are a few watching who don't yet know that, don't be pesty.
The book of wisdom.
So when you have questions, you want to gain insight, you want to learn how they did something, you're wondering about how they got their job, whatever the question may be, there is a set of language that you can and shouldn't use for these situations. And as some general examples, never demand answers, never be expecting people to get back to you for certain things. People have lives, people are busy, and everybody's time is valuable. If you have a question for somebody, don't just message them and say, hey, I have a question. Hey, can I ask you a question? They then have to reply to get your question, and then they'll have to take the time to read and reply after that. That is a lot of wasted time, versus if you have a question, write a nice little professional like, hey, I have a question. Here's the information. Here's what I need to know. Would you mind if you have time? I'd appreciate a response. If not, I know you're busy, blah, blah, blah. Respecting somebody's time, not that it has to say all that, but knowing that somebody is busy and not expecting an answer without making it super lengthy and hard to read, because there is a difference in trying to learn from somebody and trying to have them do the work for you. And I might already be preaching to the choir here, but hey, if you already know this stuff, then just send it to somebody who doesn't. Personally, I'm usually more likely to answer those types of emails or responses or comments or whatever because the person's nice, they're respectful, it seems like they've done a little bit of the legwork and they're trying to learn and they just need that little extra push. And often it's a quick answer and I can just send it if I have time. But when people message me and they say, hey, I have questions and I expect your response, I don't reply to those. And I know everything up to this point has been super basic stuff, but it's shocking to me how infrequently these types of common sense tips are used. And often I think it's just people not having a ton of experience or not really having been in a professional setting to develop this outreach etiquette, but that's why we're talking about it. But let's move on to the more advanced stuff. When it's time to share your work, a question that I get all the time is, do I need to share finished products? Can I share stuff along the way? Should I even share stuff along the way? I don't really want people to see how bad I am at first. I'd rather they see my work once I've gotten good and I'm proud of the stuff that I'm sharing. And while I understand that, and that's something that I think we all kind of fall a little bit victim to, like holding onto our stuff until it's ready. One of the biggest reasons that my YouTube channel even exists at the level that it does now, and the reason that people, I assume have stuck around for a while, is because my very first videos were, first of all, they were terrible, but they were about my journey. They were sharing the story and sharing the not so great work that I had been making and documenting the process of me learning to get better. And of course, that's just the ongoing journey. My stuff's not yet I'm not like, oh yeah, my stuff's great now. I mean, it's better for sure, I've improved, but it's still not where I want it to be. But if I hadn't been sharing anything up to this point, then none of this would exist. So whether you are building a portfolio or a reel, or you are just trying to network or even build a personal brand, whatever kind of category you're looking at here, sharing your work as you work on it and sharing your experience of what it took to get there, what you learned, some takeaways, maybe things you didn't like so much, or what you think you did wrong, or even just sharing the stuff that you don't know yet. All that information is fascinating to somebody because there's either somebody who does know that stuff that might be willing to share some tips with you because you mentioned that you don't know and they're like, oh, actually, I know some tips for that, and then you learn. Or people who haven't yet learned that stuff either are gaining from it. Either way, what you're doing is you're engaging with the community, being a part of the larger community of artists. And by doing that, the people in your network, the people that you are hoping to get to know better and meet and all that kind of stuff, they're more likely to see your stuff, see your name, see a piece of cool work, and over time that recognition will grow. There's a ton of people that I've met on the internet, and I know a lot of people. We've all met other people, other artists on Twitter, on Instagram, on ArtStation, on all these different platforms where you see someone's work here and there, and you see it more often, and just over time you start to recognize that work as that person, and then you feel like you know that person. And when you engage back and forth and you talk to each other and you like the post and you comment and you're just kind of living life, just being a normal person, you're not doing anything really specific, you're not, strategizing who you're gonna reach out to and how, nothing schemy. You're just engaging and being part of the community. That's the good part of social media. That's what that allows us to do, is to get to know each other just through our work and through our conversations. And you end up building great, can you hear that eagle? There's like a hawk or an eagle outside. Okay. But that's how great friendships or professional relationships can be formed. And that should be the main takeaway of networking. It's about relationships. It's not about trying to make a connection and get the in, because often when I was in school, when I was a student, that was one of the big things I always heard was like, oh, you need to network, you need to know people. And I always thought that that was some kind of like strategy game where, okay, so I need to meet this recruiter and I need to get like an animation supervisor who likes me, and then I need to get the pieces, like set up the chessboard. I need to figure out how to get into the industry through people networking. And it was sold to me as a very salesy, tactic-based approach, which is so wrong and so far from the truth. Networking is literally just building relationships, making friends, and being a part of the community. That's it. Because you're not gonna, have this one piece of work that you send to a recruiter and suddenly you've networked and then they're gonna get you in. Like, no. It's learning from each other, sharing stuff with each other. Opportunities get kind of passed around when, you've got a little group and you're like, hey, like, check this out. Like, oh man, that's a cool opportunity. You know who'd be good for that? This one person, I saw their work. They'd be great. They're always so nice. And with that, a reminder of something that I think I shared in a past video. While I worked at DreamWorks and I was talking to a recruiter and a hiring manager, and I remember asking, we were looking at 2 resumes and they were both basically the same. Both of those people that I was talking to told me that in all cases at a good studio, if the choice is between someone who's incredible at their job, like their work is amazing, but they're kind of an asshole, versus somebody who isn't as technically good, they can get better, but they're just not as good, but they're a joy to work with, they're a super fun person to have on the team, and you want to be around them, they will always hire that person. Because you can help this artist grow and they will get better over time, but you can't teach this person to be a good human being. So poison the culture of the workplace and make it not fun for everyone to come to work, or make it a positive experience and everyone grows together. That's the way to do it. So always come back to that when you're thinking of networking and sharing your work and stuff like that. You don't have to be the best. You just have to be willing to learn, excited about what you're doing, and a generally positive person. It doesn't mean you have to be in a great mood all the time. You can't post anything sad. That's not what I'm saying. It's just being a generally positive influence on those around you. Which, just as a side note, can also come into play with like good feedback versus trolling. If you don't have something nice to say, don't say anything at all. But also if you have good feedback, make sure you package it in a professional and kind way. That's a topic for another video, but I figured I'd just drop it here just in case. Now, all that networking is great, but let's now talk about the portfolio, the demo reel, getting your work out there, getting it seen, and so on. Now, as you know, there's a ton of social media platforms and you can use all of them for whatever you want. Like, you don't have to play by the rules of the platforms in terms of like, YouTube is obviously videos, TikTok is short videos, Instagram is photos, but it's also video, Twitter's kind of both, but also text. LinkedIn's the professional place. Like, every platform has its own flavor and its own style of native content. And while you can just post whatever you want, wherever you want, there's also a little bit of strategy that you can choose to go with if you're trying to build it and grow it and get certain things seen in certain ways. The thing I find most helpful though is to have a centralized hub of where all of your best stuff lives. Because like I said, you don't have to share only finished products. Sometimes it's great to just show the works in progress. The catch is, when you want someone to see your work to consider hiring you, you do want to have a location where they can go to see your best work at a glance without having to like dig and scroll and search through all your stuff and say, okay, that's not finished. Let me keep looking. Make it easy on people. And there's not really one right way to do this. There's many ways you can go about it, like anything with art. So you could use just an Instagram page, you could build yourself a website, or you could use ArtStation to build a portfolio. Now, the reason I specifically bring ArtStation up, obviously they did sponsor this video, but I actually had a conversation with them about this video being maybe the best fit for a sponsorship, because ArtStation has something that normal websites and regular social media platforms by themselves do not have, and that's a built-in discoverability specifically for the type of art that you create. The only way anyone's ever going to find your website is if they know your name and they know to search for you, or if they go to your page and they click the link. No one's really gonna just stumble across your website. Instagram, Twitter, that can totally happen, and you have the explore pages and the, all these different algorithms helping your stuff to get served out. So you do wanna be on as many of the platforms as you can be without going insane and losing your mind. But it is nice to have a website like ArtStation that is built for the kind of work that we do. Anyone who goes to the site knows what they're gonna find. Art. The ability to search by field or discipline and filter things out and quickly browse through a feed of good stuff where you can click and get more information, go to that person's profile, and even build yourself like a sub website on ArtStation so that you don't have to deal with actually building a separate website. And again, pros and cons for everything. There's a different fit for everybody, but this is definitely something that I think more people should consider. And especially for animators, there's less animation work on ArtStation generally than a lot of other like modeling and other asset creation or concept art and things like that. I'm not really sure why this is, but in terms of saturation and competition, in terms of how many other people are sharing their work and getting your stuff seen, there's less competition for animators on ArtStation now, and you don't have to deal with any kind of an algorithm. But no matter what your discipline, there's virtually no compression on the media you upload, so it's a great place for high resolution artwork. You can do loopable videos, so turntables, shots looping over and over, VFX shots, breakdowns, reels, all that stuff goes on there perfectly, and ArtStation's free to set up. And since it is free, it's just another opportunity to get your stuff seen on another platform where people might be looking for your skills. This is actually ArtStation's Animation Week. It's the week where they are focusing entirely on animation and featuring a ton of stuff from the animation hashtag, the animation community. So now's a great time to get your work on there because more people are likely to see your work right now than ever before, which is a good thing. And if you want to do more than just display your work on the page, you can do a ton with the premium account. That gives you access to a website builder, being able to build your own website within the framework of ArtStation that links to all your social platforms. Blogs, you'll make more earnings on the stuff that you sell in the marketplace, learning videos, etc. And if you're interested in trying any of that stuff, building yourself a website, seeing how it works, I would definitely recommend doing it now because I actually have a promo code, Sir Wade. There's a link in the description. Throw in that promo code and you can get a 2-month free trial of the pro features so you can build that website, you can check out the resources, you can sell some stuff, try out those premium features for 2 months and see how it goes for you. And if you're watching this later or you're not into animation, just in general, ArtStation has a ton of stuff that even I didn't realize for the longest time. Like I always knew it was a portfolio site to put your work on, but for a while, until the last 6 months to a year, I've been using it for actually a lot of stuff. I've looked and hired a few people for some projects off of ArtStation, but also you can find a ton of assets, resources, tutorials. You can sell stuff on there yourself if you make stuff and you want to sell it to the community. Like some people make bank selling brushes or resource packs. There's a lot of options actually. And even if you're not trying to sell it, you could just make stuff for free there and people can download it and you'll end up probably building a nice little community and again, building relationships because people are stoked. They love to get new stuff and if you're providing value there, then everyone's the better for it. There's also a job board on the site. If you're looking for jobs, recruiters check the site actively looking for new talent, which granted they do on other social media applications. So again, updating your stuff everywhere is super useful, but here being able to filter stuff very easily does make your work easy to find. And finally, if it's just about learning and like seeing what other people are up to, or if you're just curious, like how do you do good storyboards? What does a good concept art piece look like? How should a visual effects breakdown be? I want to cut a reel together. What are some examples I can look at to see what have other people done? You can just use all the channels on the homepage to browse through everything they have, or you can just use a specific hashtag. For example, hashtag women in animation is one of the features that they're going to be doing during Animation Week. So ladies, if you're watching, this is a good opportunity for you to get your stuff out there, get it seen, and celebrate the work that you're creating. And obviously that's stuff we want to see every day, but you can search the hashtag and follow those things so that you see updates when they come in. It's a good place to get inspiration is what I'm saying. So again, a link in the description to ArtStation, and if you want to grab the premium features for 2 months for free, use the code SirWade on that promo page. Now to talk a little bit about the work that you put on your portfolio and put on your reel, a question that I would ask you is, are you going to put work on this page to build a following, build a brand, create kind of a personal brand for as an artist? Or are you trying to get a job? Or maybe a combination of both. Is it job focused or brand focused? Now I'm definitely not the authority on freelance art and animation. There are people out there who have done way more of that and have way more experience with it than I do, but I've done some. For the majority of 2018 and a good part of 2019, freelance was my main thing. One of the big things I learned is that the type of works you share are the type of job offers that you get. So if you're trying to get work in a certain discipline, like if you're trying to get animation work or modeling work, then you should probably be displaying your animation skills or your modeling abilities. It sounds simple, but it's easy to forget, as maybe your regular job or the project you're working on has a lot of something. So if there's something that you want to be doing, freelance or otherwise, just make sure that you are posting that kind of stuff on your page. And again, there's nothing wrong with posting the work in progress, the stuff that's not quite finished, but it's your process. Often it's far more interesting to look at posts about someone's process and their workflow and the tools they used to get there and the stuff they learned along the way. That's usually way more interesting than the final piece. Not that the final piece, isn't as good, but it's cool to look at someone's work and then be able to kind of pull it apart, dissect it, and learn from their experience making it, than just saying, wow, that's cool, I don't know how to do that, next. So if you are trying to build a brand as an artist, that's a big thing. That's kind of how my YouTube channel has come to be. Everything I do, I share how I do it. Not because I know everything or something, but because I have a lot to learn, and I've always had a lot to learn, and I always wished that I would have had somebody sharing stuff kind of back at me along the way. So that's now what I'm trying to do, and more people are beginning to do that, which is fantastic. So bottom line of all that, build yourself a hub and put lots of content on it if you can. Even if you're a student, it'll be really cool for you to almost have a production journal starting from the beginning and kind of doing a diary of where you started and how far you've come and the stuff you've learned along the way. You'll probably end up revisiting older posts to be like, oh, what did I do? Oh my gosh, I did that. Oh, but that's actually a really good, I forgot about that. I should use that. And you'll kind of pick up nuggets from yourself. Other people will gain from it, but make sure you have a hub that you can come back to and other people can come find, like ArtStation or something like that. By the way, I don't know how many people watching these videos are like hoping to build a YouTube channel or a Twitch stream or a social media following of some kind, branding stuff. So if that's interesting, if you want more of those types of tips, I'm kind of trying to limit that because I don't know how many people want it. If you want that, let me know in the comments and maybe I'll do a whole video specifically on building a following and that stuff, but let me know. Ow. But a few things on branding. One thing I see done wrong-ish, not wrong, but I mean, could be done better, is the language in your bio, for example, between aspiring versus learning. A lot of people put like, I'm an aspiring animator, I'm an aspiring modeler, I'm an aspiring artist, and there's nothing wrong with that. We all aspire to grow and get better, but the thing is, if you animate, if you model, if you do any of those things, you're not an aspiring thing of that, you are that, like you do it. Just because you don't work at DreamWorks, Disney, Pixar, Sony, Blue Sky, one of the major studios, doesn't mean that you aren't qualified to have that title of that thing. Even if you're a student, you're learning, you can do it, you can animate, you can model, you can do those things. You're a student of that craft, and that will never change. If I asked an industry veteran to come on the channel and talk about their experience and their career, which actually I'm hoping to do more of that, so if that sounds like you and you want to talk about stuff, then shoot me an email or a DM. But if I brought someone on here, and everyone always talks about Pixar, so we'll use them as the example. If I brought an animator from Pixar who's been at the studio for 20 years and said, are you an animation student? They'd probably have an argument to say, yeah, in some way. They're a student of animation, that they're constantly learning and evolving because you always have to be. You're never done, if that makes sense. You're never finished learning, like, nope, that's it. I've hit the next status. I'm an animator, complete. They're definitely not an aspiring animator. They're an animator and they're still learning. And that's kind of where anybody who can do it is at. We're all at different levels. So use that as a way to kind of fuel yourself and give some like self-confidence as an artist to your work. That's something that you can really take and use if you are trying to build a brand as an artist. You don't have to be the best. You just have to share your process and have the humility to admit, I don't know everything. I'm not the best at all of this, but what I have, I'm happy to share. Hopefully that made sense and I said that right. And I feel like I'm starting to get cyclical, so I think it's time to wind down the video and just say that all of this stuff, all of sharing your work and talking to people, all that stuff, it's a lot more human than we usually expect it to be when we talk about it, like online networking and branding and stuff. All it comes down to is just being a nice person and sharing your work, and if you have something to share with other people, to do so, chat with people and build relationships. That's it. And when it comes to having content out there, sharing your stuff, and when it's not just conversation back and forth, and you're looking for a job or you're looking to put your work somewhere, having a diversity of platforms to further your reach is a great thing, but also having that main hub to bring people back to, for recruiters to look at, for freelance artists to get their stuff seen, or to use as a source of inspiration or reference, it can be a super big help. And that's why I felt that ArtStation was the perfect fit for a sponsorship for this video, because it is a free platform that you can do all of that and they offer a ton of premium services for all the other stuff that I mentioned. So if you haven't made a profile yet, link below. And if you want to grab those pro features for 2 months for free, use the code SirWade when you go to the promo link. And I hope you enjoyed this video. Thank you for watching all the way to the end. I do appreciate it. If you enjoyed it, hit this button, subscribe if you haven't already. Share this video with a friend or classmates or whoever you know who's trying to build this kind of stuff and could use some of these tips. But anyways, thanks for watching. Thank you to ArtStation for sponsoring this video, and I will see you all in the next video.